online virtual class organized by Tarkeso Municipality. It's me, Deepak Bhandari from Mega Public School situated at Lambaga, Kathmandu. Today, I'm going to present the video lecture of science regarding the subject matter of class 8. So the subject matter that we are going to study from the chapter matter is, today we'll basically enlisted about the definition of matter and what it contains over it, and we'll be discussing about the differences between the atom and molecules, comparison of electrons, protons and the neutrons, definitions and the formulas of atomic number, atomic mass and molecular weight, and names of elements, symbol, number of electrons, protons, number of neutrons and the atomic number. And basically, if we have more time about it, then we'll be discussing also about the electronic configuration. But majorly, we'll discuss some of the basic terms regarding about matter. Anything having mass and volume, it's called matter. And there are three states of matter. There are solid, liquid, and gas. So, bhai baniharu, हामीलाई यो सराउन्डिङ्समा solid, liquid and gas हुँदै गर्दाखेरि त्यहाँ अरु पनि कम्पोनेन्ट्सहरु इन्टरलिङ्क भएका हुन्छन्. सो लाइकवाइज एलिमेन्ट्स, कम्पाउन्ड्स एन्ड मोलिक्युल्स. सो भाइ बहिनीहरु, तपाईलाई एलिमेन्ट्स भनेको के हो, कम्पाउन्ड्स भनेको के हो अथवा मोलिक्युल्सहरु भनेको के हो भन्ने कुराहरु थाहा नहुन पनि सक्छ. सो लेट्स डिस्कस अबाउट द एलिमेन्ट्स, कम्पाउन्ड्स एन्ड मोलिक्युल्स. Okay, let's discuss about the elements, compounds and molecules. Elements are the simplest, purest substances that can neither be split it into two or more substances nor made from two or more substances. Not the duita अथवा दुई भन्दा बढी simple substancesहरुबाट split हुन सक्छ. Not the it can be made into two or more substances. दुईटा अथवा दुई भन्दा बढी substancesहरु मिलेर त्यहाँबाट elementsहरुको formation हुन सक्छ. So by the कारणले गर्दाखेरि they are the simplest, purest form of substance, and they can exist or they can be formed with a single atom. So on the basis of the physical and the chemical properties, so elements are classified into metals, non-metals and metalloids. So metals, they are assigned elements, they are the good conductor of heat and electricity. And basically, if you want to know about the examples of metals, so iron, copper, gold, so these are the examples of metals. So talking about the non-metals, so non-metals so they are the bad conductor of electricity, and the examples are, or they somehow except carbon. So non-metals are the bad conductor of electricity, and they may be in the different form of states. So liquid formation ma pani huna सक्छ, अथवा the gases को formation मा पनि हुन सक्छ, अथवा solid को formation मा पनि हुन सक्छ. So metalloids, talking about the metalloids, so दुईटैको सम्मिश्रण भएको metals र non metals को properties हरु सम्मिश्रण भएको पार्टलाई हामीले metalloids भनेर भन्ने गरिन्छ. They both exist the properties of metals and the non metals. So in order to have the good conductor and the metalloids form, and it must have to give the heat over it. Compound is the purest form of substance. So formed by the chemical combination of two or more elements. So basically NaCl, we can call it as a compound. NS3, we can call it as a compound because they're the combination of two or more elements. So talking about the molecules, so molecule is also simplest form of substance that may be of either elements or either compounds that can exist independently. That's why if I'm talking about the molecules, so O2, we basically call it as molecules because they consist of the two O2. This is all about the molecules. So talking about it, so हामीले कुराकानी गर्ने हो भने all together कुनै पनि periodic table को classification of elements हेर्ने हो भने there are altogether 118 elements. So 92 of the elements, they are in the purest form, or they can be found in the nature, and other remaining 26 elements, they are prepared artificially in the laboratory. Basically, if we are talking about the compounds, molecules, and elements, so we have to know about the atoms and the molecules as well. So basically move on to the differences between the atoms and molecules. Let's see about it. So atoms, that we basically call it as the smallest particle of an element that can take part in chemical reactions. We call it as an atom. And talking about the molecules, that is also the smallest particle of an element or a compound that can exist freely in a nature. So atoms can combine to give rise to a molecule. So molecule rise गर्नको लागि atoms interlinked भएको हुनुपर्छ. And talking about the molecules may be decomposed into atoms. If it happens to be decomposed, then there will be the formation of molecules. And let's talk about the other differences. So let's see about it. An atom may not always be stable because they are independent of each other, and molecules are formed to attain stability because it happens to combine with two or more than two elements. So talking about, and this is one of the important example where it is very important from the examination point of view as well. So they might ask the question like this: so what are the differences between the Yes2 and twice Yes1? So you basically have to know about Yes is an atom of hydrogen. We basically have to think about it. Yes means the atom of hydrogen, but S2 is a molecule of hydrogen. But when we are talking about the twice S, that means they consist of the two atoms of hydrogen. So this is the concept you must have to know about it before reading about these basic concepts about the atoms, molecules, compounds, and elements. So I'm going to discuss about the comparison of subatomic particles. So before discussing about the comparison of subatomic particles, we're going to discuss about the atomic structure or the basic structure of an atom. So according to the scientists, an atom is a sphere having a diameter of 10⁻⁻10 meters. So there are other smallest particles on an atom, so they are basically called as electrons, protons, and neutrons. So these are the smallest particles in an atom. The other smallest particles in an atom. So talking about it, in the inner side of the nucleus, they consist of the protons and the neutrons. So protons, they are positively charged. Neutrons, they are chargeless. And when they spin around it, and the sails or the orbitals, then the electrons must have to rotate on the sails or the orbitals. So that's why we must have to know the basic concepts before moving on to the comparison of the subatomic particles. So let's discuss about the comparison of subatomic particles. So I've written here 1 gram equals to 6 × 10⁻23 AMU. Why it has to be measured? It has to be measured in AMU. We must have to know the basic concepts about it. Atoms are the very smallest particles. They are the very smallest particles of an element which take part in chemical reaction. That's why it cannot be measured in gram or milligram because they are the very smallest particles of an element. So that's why it has to be measured in atomic mass unit. So 1 gram of hydrogen is equals to the 6 × 10⁻23 AMU. So we basically also have to know about the mass of 1 proton is equals to the mass of 1 neutron. It's equals to 1837 electron. That's equals to 1 AMU. That is 1 mass of hydrogen is equals to the 1 AMU. So talking about it, the subatomic particles, where I talk about the electrons, the protons, and the neutrons. Electrons, they are negatively charged. Here I have written here E-, they are negatively charged. Protons, they are positively charged. Neutrons, they are chargeless. And talking about its location, electron, they are located at its shell, where the relative mass or the atomic mass unit is 1/1837 of hydrogen, and they are negatively charged. That's why the charge, that is electrostatic unit, that is equals to -1 for the electron. And talking about the proton, they are positively charged, which are located inside the nucleus, and their relative mass or the atomic mass unit is 1s, and their electrostatic unit is equals to +1. And talking about the neutron, they are chargeless. We basically have the symbol N0, which are located inside the nucleus and having the relative mass of the atomic mass unit 1h, having a charge 0, because we have already talked about the neutron is chargeless, that's why its charge is 0. So talking about the electrostatic charge, where charge, its assignment is Coulomb, so we basically have to know about it. So in the periodic table, while we are going to study about the classification of elements, we must have to know the basic definitions. So we have to know about the molecular weight, we have to know about the atomic number, and we also have to know about the atomic mass. So what is atomic number, what is atomic mass, and what is molecular weight? So atomic number, if you happen to move on about the atomic number is equals to the number of proton is equals to the number of electron. If the atomic number of hydrogen is equals to 1, then obviously the proton is equals to 1, it equals to the electron. So here we move on to the basic concepts. So atomic number is equals to the number of proton is equals to the number of electron, where we symbolizes the atomic number as Z, and the number of proton where we have already started about it. So number of proton, that is equals to P plus, and the number of electron, that is equals to E minus. So what is the basic concepts about the atomic number? The number of the protons present inside the nucleus of an atom is called as the atomic number, where we get the basic formulas of atomic number is equals to the number of proton is equals to the number of electron. So if we basically know about these concepts, then you could be able to solve the mathematical problems, which is very important from the examination point of view. So my dear students, please note it down if you find it the important point. Okay, let's see about the atomic mass. The sum of the protons and the neutrons which are present inside the nucleus of an atom, that we call it as an atomic mass. So atomic mass is equals to the number of proton and 0. So number of proton is equals to P plus and 0. So here atomic mass is equals to the number of proton plus number of neutron, where the atomic mass symbolizes as A equals to number of proton, it symbolizes as P plus, and number of neutron, it symbolizes as N0, where N0 is equals to A minus A. If you happen to find out the number of proton, then that is equals to the atomic mass minus atomic number. So talking about the molecular weight. So what is molecular weight? The sum of the atomic weights of same or different elements. Listen properly. The sum of the atomic weights of the same or different elements present in a molecule, that we call it as a molecular weight. So for example, if you happen to find out the molecular weight of oxygen, then you must have to know the atomic weight of oxygen. So before moving on to this, to find out the molecular weight, I happen to move on to the periodic table or the classification of elements. So before starting the classification of elements, so how to memorize it properly. So यसलाई memorize गर्नको लागि तपाईहरुको लागि I will give you some tips. So listen properly. भाइ बहिनीहरु एकचोटी यो हेर्नुस् त 1 देखि 20 सम्मको एलिमेन्ट्सहरु यहाँ लेखिएको छ 1 देखि 20 वटा एलिमेन्ट्सहरुलाई प्रपरली रिड आउट गर्नको लागि प्रपरली तपाईहरुको दिमागमा रहिरहनको लागि के गर्नु पर्छ So I have categorized here 1 2 3 4 5 6 sections यो 6 वटा सेक्सनमा अब म सँगसँगै तपाईहरुले पनि यसलाई प्र्याक्टिस गर्न सक्नुहुनेछ Hydrogen, helium, I'll be talking about the hydrogen, helium, lithium, barium, boron, carbon. Likewise, here, याची र यालाई लेखेको देखिरहनु भएको छ यसलाई तपाईले गर्दै गर्दाखेरि के भन्न सक्नुहुन्छ भने हाइड्रोजन हिलियम लिथियम फेरि एकचोटी मैले प्रोनाउन्स गर्दै छु हाइड्रोजन हिलियम लिथियम BBC बेरिलियम बोरोन कार्बन नो फनी नाइट्रोजन ऑक्सीजन फ्लोरीन नियोन Non-Mong-Al-C sodium, magnesium, aluminium, silicon, Phos-Sul-Cl, phosphorus, sulfur, and chlorine, Arekaka, argon, potassium, and calcium. So these are the basic terms. If you happen to mesmerize it, you could be able to learn within a very specific time. So that's why use the tricks before you happen to read the classification of tables. So I'm going to say something about the atomic number, molecular weights, and atomic weights, where we have already studied about it. So मैले के पनि भनिरहेको छु भने atomic number भनेको that is equals to the number of proton is equals to the number of electron. So त्यही अनुसार अब यदि मैले भनेको कुरा के हो भने atomic number is equals to the number of proton is equals to the number of electron हो भने so हाइड्रोजन को केसमा 1 हो भने प्रोटोन र इलेक्ट्रोन पनि 1 हुनु पर्यो यदि क्याल्सियम 20 हो भने सो प्रोटोन एन्ड इलेक्ट्रोन दैट आल्सो हैज टु बी 20 and 20 सो बेसिकली अब हामीलाई स्टडी गर्न के सजिलो छ भन्दा 1 देखि 20 सम्मका एलिमेन्ट्सहरु क्लासिफिकेसन अफ एलिमेन्ट्सहरु पढ्नु पर्यो भने तपाईहरुलाई दिएको टिप्सहरु याद गरेर सो 1 देखि 20 सम्मको सिरियल वाइज तपाईलाई त्यो क्लासिफिकेसन अफ एलिमेन्ट्सहरु एक कन्सेप्ट अनुसार आउँछ भने तपाईलाई प्रोटोन र इलेक्ट्रोन निकाल्नको लागि एकदमै सजिलो छ भनिसकेपछि अब हामीले एटोमिक नम्बर के कसरी निकाल्ने भन्ने कुराहरु तपाईहरुले बुझिसक्नु भयो होला अब म एटोमिक मास निकाल्ने कन्सेप्ट म तपाईहरुलाई दिन चाहन्छु अब मेरो कन्सेप्ट अनुसार हाइड्रोजन को केस बेरिलियम को केस नाइट्रोजन को केस र आर्गन को केस बाहेक हाइड्रोजन को केस बेरिलियम को केस नाइट्रोजन को केस र आर्गन को केस बाहेक यदि तपाईले ऑड एलिमेंट्स पिक आउट गर्नु भयो भने लेट अस सपोज यो ऑड एलिमेंट्स मैले हिलियम पिक गरे भने लिथियम पिक गरे भने लिथियममा के छ 3 छ सो 3 that has to be multiplied with 2 plus 1 so 3 into 2 6 plus 1 so अघि मैले भर्खरै भन्दै गर्दाखेरि पिरियोडिक क्लासिफिकेसन अफ एलिमेन्ट्स को अ बेसिक एटोमिक नम्बर कसरी निकाल्ने भन्ने कुराको मैले बेसिक कन्सेप्ट दिन खोज्दै छु so odd elements like pick garners so I have picked here sodium as the odd elements where its atomic number is equals to 11 so यसलाई तपाईले मल्टिप्लाई गर्नुहोस् मल्टिप्लाई by 2 plus 1 limits that is equals to के हुन्छ 23 AMU हुन्छ so this is the exact atomic mass unit if you happen to talk about aluminum को पनि त्यस्तै गर्नुहोस् so aluminum this is odd number 13 that is the atomic number equals to 13 that has to be multiplied with 2 plus 1 that is equals to 27 AMU and talking about the even elements so even elements को atomic weight पत्ता लगाउनु पर्यो भने तपाईले के गर्नुहुन्छ let us I have given here the example of sulfur को atomic number हुन्छ 16 यसलाई multiplied with 2 मात्रै गर्नुहोस् यसको ठ्याक्कै atomic weight आउँछ 32 atomic mass unit आउँछ so calcium को गर्नुहोस् so 20 into 2 equals to 40 AMU and this is the even number oxygen को लिनुस् oxygen को atomic number हुन्छ 8 that has to be multiplied with 2 that is equals to 16 AMU अब बाँकी रहेको चारवटा एलिमेन्ट्सहरु यसलाई तपाईले आफ्नो कन्सेप्चुअल यो कन्सेप्ट अनुसार नमिल्ने भएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि for the to mesmerize it easily को लागि मैले यो कन्सेप्ट तपाईहरुलाई बुझाउन खोजिरहेको हो सो यु क्यान टेक इट एज वन कन्सेप्ट एज वेल सो मेरो यो कन्सेप्ट अनुसार तपाईहरुलाई सजिलो बनाउनको लागि मात्रै गरिएको कन्सेप्ट हो सो हाइड्रोजन को हुन्छ 1 atomic mass unit इट you need not have to multiply with 2 plus 1 किनभने यो odd number भएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि सबैमा multiply with 2 plus 1 गर्नु होला that would be wrong so हाइड्रोजन को केसमा 1 AMU हुन्छ बेरिलियम को केसमा खास हुनु पर्ने थियो बेरिलियम हाइड्रोजन helium lithium beryllium 4 into 2 equals to 8 हुनु पर्ने तर यसको के छ 9 AMU छ so you have to take the concept so hydrogen beryllium nitrogen र argon को केस बाहेक odd number को लागि के गर्नुस् भन्दा multiplied with 2 plus 1 गर्नुस् र even number को लागि only multiplied with 2 गर्नुस् and you could be able to get the concept of atomic weight so this is my concept you can use this concept and it will make you very easy to calculate the numerical questions. हामीले गरेको कन्सेप्ट अनुसार अब तपाईले न्यूट्रोन पनि निकाल्न सक्नुहुन्छ, जहाँ तपाईले एटोमिक नम्बर पनि पत्ता लगाउनु भयो र एटोमिक वेट पनि पत्ता लगाउनु भयो भने यही कन्सेप्ट अनुसार तपाईलाई दिएको एसाइन गरेको फर्मुला n0 = a - z बाट न्यूट्रोन पत्ता लगाउन सक्नुहुन्छ. सो दिस आर द बेसिक कन्सेप्ट्स. सो मैले यहाँ तपाईहरुलाई एटोमिक नम्बर पनि देखाएको छु, एलिमेन्ट्स देखाएको छु, सिम्बल देखाएको छु, प्रोटोन्सहरु देखाएको छु, इलेक्ट्रोन्सहरु देखाएको छु, न्यूट्रोन्स अनि त्यसको एटोमिक मास कति हुन्छ भनेर देखाइरहेको छु, एन्ड नम्बर अफ इलेक्ट्रोन्स इन द डिफरेन्ट अर्बिट्सहरु पनि मैले यहाँ लोकेट गरेर देखाएको छु, सो दैट इट कुड बी एबल टु गेट द इलेक्ट्रोनिक कन्फिगरेशन्सहरु, डिफरेन्ट एटोमिक स्ट्रक्चरको एटोमिक कन्फिगरेसन, इलेक्ट्रोनिक कन्फिगरेसनहरु निकाल्न पनि सजिलो हुने भयो, यसबाट भ्यालेन्सी आइडेन्टिफाई गर्नको लागि पनि सजिलो हुने भयो र त्यो भएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि यसमा तपाईहरुले बुझ्नु एकदमै जरुरी छ. सो इलेक्ट्रोनिक कन्फिगरेसनमा हामीले डिफरेन्ट अरेन्जमेन्ट अफ इलेक्ट्रोन्सहरु राखिएको हुन्छ, इन डिफरेन्ट अर्बिटल सेल्सहरुमा राखिएको हुन्छ. त्यसको आधारमा तपाईको के मा म्याक्सिमम इलेक्ट्रोन्स भनेको 2 हुन्छ, यल मा म्याक्सिमम इलेक्ट्रोन्स भनेको 8 हुन्छ, एम मा 16 एन्ड n = 32. सो अब यहाँ हेर्नुस्, इलेक्ट्रोनिक कन्फिगरेसन को बारेमा हामीले स्टडी गर्दै गर्दाखेरि यु मस्ट ह्याभ टु नो द बेसिक कन्सेप्ट्स. सो इलेक्ट्रोनिक कन्फिगरेसन भनेको के हो भन्ने कुरा तपाईले थाहा पाउनु जरुरी छ भाइ बहिनीहरु. सो दिस आर द सिस्टमेटिक डिस्ट्रिब्युसन अफ इलेक्ट्रोन्स इन भेरियस अर्बिट्स or the energy levels around the nucleus in an atom is called as the electronic configuration. यो electronic configuration पत्ता लगाएको बोरेन बरीले हो, that has been propounded in 1921 AD. So these are the basically the distribution of electrons around the nucleus. अब तपाईले यहाँ हेर्न सक्नुहुन्छ, arrangement of electrons in different cells of an atom को कुराकानी गर्ने हो भने यहाँ हाम्रो भित्रपट्टिको पार्टमा न्यूक्लियस देखाइएको छ. that is न्यूक्लियसमा भित्रपट्टि प्रोटोन्स एन्ड न्यूट्रोन्सहरु हुन्छ, they are located inside the nucleus. अब यहाँ आएको छ फर्स्ट सेल भनेको that is the s orbitals को पार्टहरु भयो. त्यसपछि सेकेन्ड सेलमा आउँदाखेरि sp orbitals को पार्टहरु आउँछ र थर्ड सेलमा आइपुग्दाखेरि spd को orbitals आइरहेको हुन्छ. त्यो भएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि अब यहाँ हेर्नुस् त, इनर्जी लेभल यहाँ भनेर राखिएको छ. यो फर्स्ट इनर्जी लेभलको लागि हामीले 1 असाइन गर्छौं, जहाँ हाम्रो सब लेभल्स इन मेन इनर्जी लेभल भनेको जम्मा s मात्रै हुन्छ. त्यसको नम्बर अफ ऑर्बिटल्स, दैट इज द नम्बर अफ इलेक्ट्रोन्स पर सब लेभल. अब यहाँ हेर्नुस् त, नम्बर अफ इलेक्ट्रोन्स पर मेन इनर्जी लेभलमा म्याक्सिमम इलेक्ट्रोन कन्टेन हुने भनेको जम्मा 2 वटा मात्रै. अब सेकेन्ड इनर्जी सेलमा जानुस्, इनर्जी लेभल 2 छ भने त्यसमा सब लेभल हुने भनेको s र p मात्रै हुन्छ, जसमा नम्बर अफ ऑर्बिटल्स, किनभने s को लागि हामीले 1 भनेको थियो, p को लागि 3 भनेर भनेको थियो, एन्ड म्याक्सिमम multiplied by 2, त्यसको नम्बर अफ इलेक्ट्रोन्स इन सब सेलमा हेर्नुस् 3 * 2 = 6 हुन्छ, जहाँ म्याक्सिमम नम्बर अफ इलेक्ट्रोन्स एसाइन हुने भनेको जम्मा 8 वटा मात्रै हो. 6 + 2 = 8 हुन्छ. अथवा तपाईलाई त्यो गाह्रो लाग्छ, यहाँ दिएको एसाइन गरिएको चीजहरु गाह्रो लाग्छ भने तपाईले के गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ भने n को भ्यालु हाम्रो 2 छ भने मल्टिप्लाई 2 * 2 4 4 * 2 = 8. So get the values, so put the values of m and you could be able to get the number of electrons per main energy level. अब यहाँ हेर्नुस्, अब spd, अब थर्ड इनर्जी सेलमा आउँदै गर्दाखेरि spd, d भनेको 5 हुन्छ, that is 5 * 2 = 10, 10 + 8 = 18. भनिसकेपछि अब यो फोर्थ अर्बिटलमा आउँदै गर्दाखेरि spdf को कुराकानी आउँछ, जहाँ हामीले चाहिँ हाम्रो f भनेको म्याक्सिमम 7 हुन्छ, 7 * 2 = 14, that is altogether 14 + 18 = 32. So okay my dear students, we'll end this session. So next time we'll be continuing with the extra things about the electronic configuration. So let's see. So the next session will be more funny and more dynamic for you guys. So thank you students. Goodbye.
Subscribe to our channel by clicking the subscribe button. Click the bell button and enjoy the latest uploads from our channel.